At just 19 years old, Eliza was already a rising star in the sleek world of hairdressing. The salon where she worked, Luster, was a haven of clean lines, soft music, and the subtle scent of shampoos and freshly brewed coffee. Nestled on a busy city corner with windows that let in golden morning light, Luster catered to both the fashionable and the fearless. And Eliza? She loved every second of it. She had always been adventurous with her look. Flaming red at 16, cotton candy pink the following summer. There'd been edgy pixie cuts, lush shoulder-length waves, undercuts, asymmetrical bobs, and even a phase where she curled her entire head into tight spirals just because she could. Right now, her hair was jet black, straightened to a soft shine, and fell just to her shoulders. It framed her heart-shaped face perfectly and gave her a professional edge, but she was getting tired of it again. Change always called her. Each morning, Eliza slipped through the salon's glass door with a smile. She hung her coat on the little brass hook behind the counter, grabbed her apron, a sleek charcoal gray one with her name stitched in neat cursive, and tied it tightly around her waist. With her tools holstered like a cowboy in a standoff, she was ready for anything. She adored her clients, and they adored her right back. She'd chat as she trimmed, laughed as she curled, and listened as she dyed. But there was one task that gave her a strange kind of thrill: shaving. It had started as something practical. Plenty of men came in asking for buzz cuts, skin fades, or to go completely bald. They'd sit down, confident or nervous, and she'd fasten the cape around their necks with a satisfying snap. Then came the clippers, the electric hum, and that moment when the first lock of hair slid down the cape and onto the floor. Eliza never said anything, but each time she pushed the clippers through thick hair, especially when she reduced it to nothing more than velvety stubble, something shifted in her. It wasn't just a job. It was electric. A tingle ran down her spine, like her body understood something her mind hadn't quite grasped yet. Watching hair collect in clumps on the cape, the shears buzzing close to the scalp, sometimes finishing with a smooth pass of the razor. She found herself holding her breath. What if it were me? The thought had crept in slowly. At first, it was just curiosity. A passing what if. But it kept coming back. Louder, clearer, more persistent. What if she were the one sitting in the chair, pinned beneath the cape, hair tumbling down her shoulders as someone else took control of the clippers? She never dared tell anyone. But recently, more and more women had come in asking for buzz cuts or to be shaved completely bald. Some came for new beginnings, others for bold statements, and a few just for the thrill of it. Eliza loved doing those cuts. There was something sacred about it. The moment the woman looked at herself in the mirror, sometimes crying, sometimes grinning wildly, sometimes completely still as if meeting herself for the first time, it moved her. And each time it happened, the voice inside her got louder. It became a pattern. Every buzz cut she gave, every bald shave she performed, planted a seed that grew a little more inside her. At night, after she got home, Eliza would catch herself staring at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. She'd pull her black hair back tightly, hold it flat against her scalp, and imagine what she'd look like with nothing. No bangs, no waves, no softness framing her face. Just skin, smooth and bare. Sometimes she'd take it further. In the quiet of her apartment, she'd drape a towel around her shoulders like a cape, tilt her head to the side, and imagine the clippers roaring to life. She'd close her eyes and picture them gliding over her scalp, the hair falling like black feathers down the front of the cape. Her stomach would flutter at the thought. Half nerves, half something else. But she always stopped there. She wasn't ready. Not yet. Then came the Friday morning that changed everything. The salon was buzzing early that day. Bookings were full, and Eliza had barely finished her coffee when her first client walked in, a man in his 30s, dressed in jeans and a hoodie. His name was Ryan, and he came in every 2 months like clockwork to get his head shaved smooth with the razor. He liked the clean look, said it made him feel sharp and fresh. Same as always? Eliza asked, guiding him to her chair. You know it, he said with a grin. Let's take it all off. She smiled and reached for the silver cape, smoothing it over his chest and fastening it snugly at the neck. Her fingers lingered for a moment as she tightened it. Not too tight, but enough to remind him, and maybe herself, that there was no turning back now. She smiled and reached for the silver cape, smoothing it over his chest and fastening it snugly at the neck. Her fingers lingered for a moment as she tightened it. Not too tight, but enough to remind him, and maybe herself, that there was no turning back now. She started with the clippers. Pass after pass, she sheared away his brown stubble until he was left with nothing but a soft shadow. Then she wiped his head with a warm towel and applied the shaving cream. The razor slid cleanly over his scalp, and when she was done, his head gleamed under the lights. There you go, she said softly, dusting off his shoulders. Bald and beautiful. Ryan laughed, and as he admired himself in the mirror, Eliza's heart began to pound. Her fingers twitched. Her throat tightened. Now or never. Ryan, she said slowly as he stood to leave. Can I ask you something a little weird? He raised an eyebrow, curious. Sure? She hesitated, then said it. Would you shave my head? His eyes widened. Wait, are you serious? She nodded, suddenly breathless. I've been thinking about it for months. I want to do it, but I don't want to be the one holding the clippers. I want to sit in the chair. I want to feel what it's like. He blinked, then laughed. Not mockingly, but in pleasant surprise. Yeah, I'll do it. You sure you want this? I've never been more sure of anything. Her coworkers had gone out for lunch. The salon was quiet, sun filtering in through the windows, the hum of city life just outside. Eliza walked to the chair and sat down, her hands suddenly trembling slightly in her lap. Ryan stood behind her, almost reverent. You really want to do this? She nodded. Yes. Cape me. He took the silver barber cape, the one she always used for the dramatic cuts, and shook it out with a crisp flick of the wrist. Then he draped it over her, pulling it tight around her neck and fastening it with practiced fingers. The moment the snap clicked closed, Eliza felt a jolt of adrenaline. She was trapped beneath the cape. No turning back now. Ryan turned the chair slightly toward the mirror. Eliza looked at herself, her black hair shining under the light, the cape gleaming over her chest, framing her face, and tried to steady her breathing. He reached for the clippers. Ready? He asked. She gave a single nod. With a sharp click, the clippers came to life. The buzz filled the room, loud and intimate. Her heart pounded in her ears. Ryan placed a steady hand on top of her head, tilting it forward gently. The first pass came from the nape of her neck, straight up the center of her head. She felt the vibration deep in her scalp, and then the sensation she'd craved, the sudden weightlessness as a thick lock of black hair fell forward and tumbled down the cape. Her breath caught. It was happening. It was real. He continued with slow, even passes. With every movement of the clippers, more hair slid down the cape and into her lap. Thick strands, once so familiar, were now nothing more than discarded threads on silver fabric. The sensation was overwhelming. The clippers massaged her scalp in a way that was almost hypnotic. Her skin prickled, her body tingled. She had no control now. Ryan was steady, deliberate, reducing her to stubble, and she loved every second of it. After several minutes, he turned off the clippers. She looked at her reflection and gasped softly. Her black hair was gone, replaced by a uniform field of dark stubble. I'm not done, Ryan said gently. You wanted the razor too, right? She swallowed hard and whispered, Yes. He warmed a towel and draped it over her head. The heat relaxed her, soothed her. Then came the shaving cream, cool and foamy, massaged slowly into her scalp. The razor made no sound, but the feeling was unforgettable. Smooth, silent, deliberate strokes as he scraped away the last of her hair. Her eyes fluttered closed, her body completely still under the cape. She could feel every inch of her scalp being revealed, every curve, every contour. When he was done, he wiped her head clean and stepped back. Eliza opened her eyes. The woman in the mirror was still her, but somehow more. Her scalp gleamed, perfectly smooth. Her eyes looked bigger, brighter. Her cheekbones stood out. She looked fierce. Free. She ran her hand over her bare scalp and laughed. A deep, giddy, uncontrollable laugh. I should have done this so much sooner. Eliza stood from the chair, still wrapped in the silver cape, running her fingertips slowly over the surface of her freshly shaved scalp. The sensation sent tiny shivers dancing down her spine. It was smooth, warm, and slightly sensitive to the touch. She couldn't stop touching it. Not because she was unsure, but because it was exhilarating, liberating. Right. Thank you, she said, turning to Ryan, who was now brushing stray hairs off the chair. You really meant it, he said with a smile, shaking his head in admiration. You look incredible.